Chair.
After several hours of deadlock, the Committee of Parliament on Defence and Internal Affairs reached consensus with Defence Ministry officials on their proposed budget for the 2023-24 financial year. An initial disagreement in the budget figures prompted the impasse.
There is an activity amounting to about, or activities amounting to about 120 billion, which is not reflected here.
There's a time we're doing the same. Again, we found almost a whopping 1 trillion, and the Undersecretary told us it was an error.
This forced the MPs to adjourn proceedings prematurely to allow for further consultation to harmonize discrepancies in the exact amount to be allocated in the financial year. Initial indications showed that ministry requested for 8.7 trillion shillings, which had somehow been raised to 8.9 trillion shillings without proper itemization.
The ministry presenting to us those differing figures, they were different, they could not tally. We had no option but send them back and reconcile, because the law requires that after presenting to the committee, then the committee takes it up and owns the budget. There is no way, as a Committee of Defence and Internal Affairs, we could own the budget of Ministry of Defence and Veteran Affairs when it has those differing figures.
They were able to persuade the MPs upon return with the total security requirement for the ministry left at 8.9 trillion shillings. However, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has proposed to allocate the ministry 3.5 trillion shillings, leaving a financing gap of over 5 trillion. The cuts are bound to affect missions like Operation Shujaa in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has no funding despite a request for 21 billion shillings. No money has been allocated for travels abroad and Usalama kwa wote operation in Karamoja.
This is, it is inevitable. It is inevitable. These operations need funds. We are going to talk to the Commander-in-Chief also to see how we can manage this issue. But we know that Parliament will understand and will be able to find money for these operations. They are genuine and really needed operations.
However, there are fears that this underfunding will lead to the bombardment of Parliament with supplementary budgets. Ssempijja committed to make a formal statement to Parliament about Operation Shujaa following concerns by the MPs.
Operation Shujaa, as far as the previous budget was concerned, whereby Parliament had resolved that before they could spend the money, they had to first move Parliament by way of motion to sanction their deployment in Congo. But unfortunately, up to now, no motion has ever been presented. Of course, the explanation of the minister was a bit convincing to us in committee, but we requested him to put the same on the floor of Parliament.
Later, the Chief of the Defence Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, declined to answer questions on the conduct of the first son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is also a senior presidential advisor for special operations.
Are you afraid as the CDF that if you talk about this, you may not cross out, so that we just handle it like Operation Shujaa and say, no, these ones we cannot talk about it?
Honorable
to make a comment on this.
Honorable Chuanuka, the CDF and the minister have taken note. However, the CDF is implicating that they don't pick things from social media. And so, pushing him to explain things that happen on different Mukutu's social media is really pushing him to the wall.
The MPs are concerned that Muhoozi is allegedly engaged in politics. Jackson Onyango, NTV at Parliament.